Oh, what is going on, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central. My name is Fareed. In today's video, we're touching on the latest news and updates going on in Cardano. The very first topic I want to touch on is going to be Project Catalyst and the fact that we're now closing in on the community voting stage and what you in the community can do in order to get prepped or ready for that actual part of Project Catalyst. Second, we're going to jump into Lenfi, which has officially had a conclusion of about 5 to 6 different proposals taking place over the course of the last week, and I want to touch on some of those results. Now, that particular update we'll be touching on not only assets being added as collateral, but assets added as borrowable assets on the platform. Now, following that, we are going to jump into some updates surrounding Genius Yield in their successful launch of their private testnet and the fact that we can expect for this to roll out to OGs within the Genius Yield community sometime early next week. Now, last but not least, we are going to jump into some updates surrounding World Mobile and the fact that their token, which is the WMT token, has now branched out to the Conflux network. Now, as always, if it's your first time stopping by the channel, my goal is to provide you in the crypto and Cardano community with the latest news, tutorials, and updates for the top builders here on the network. I'm also a single stake pool operator operating the official Dapp Central stake pool, which is stake pool ticker DAPP. If you'd like to support me on my mission to educate the broader crypto community, then consider delegating with the stake pool. As always, I appreciate you guys not only supporting me through the stake pool, but on the YouTube channel as well. Jumping into the first topic for today's video, we have an update on Project Catalyst. So shout out to Daniel here for posting this particular graphic. He's been keeping the community updated when it comes to the actual stages of Project Catalyst. Now, understanding that, we have 5 days to go ahead and actually register if you're looking to vote for a particular proposal or for a slew of proposals during the Project Catalyst season. Now, we're currently in funding round number 10, and he's left a few links here for us to go ahead and navigate or access if you're looking to participate in that voting process. So I'm going to jump over here into this next tab, which I'll leave a link to down below. But this is basically a part of the documentation from Project Catalyst breaking down how to register for voting. Now, if you're not familiar with Project Catalyst, this is going to be a process where community members and builders within Cardano put up their proposals for the Cardano community or for ADA holders to actually vote for the addition or denial of said proposals. Now, there are a few requirements that you have to undergo or pass in order to be eligible to vote, and I want to quickly touch on those here. Again, use the link down below if you guys want to go ahead and check this out in its entirety. So the first main requirement will be to meet a minimum of 500 ADA being held in whichever wallet is going to be registered to use to actually vote. So pretty simple and pretty straightforward requirement there. Again, you just need to hold 500 ADA within a particular wallet that you're going to be using to vote. Now, the second step is prior to registration, you must install the latest version of the Catalyst voting application on your mobile device. I'm actually going to be going through this myself, and I'll be uploading an additional video over the course of the next few days here, breaking down not only how to get this application on iOS, but how to install it and actually complete the registration process. Now, there's also another disclaimer here surrounding people that may have registered prior to the actual beginning of funding round number 10. If I'm not mistaken, funding round number 10 began on June 21st or around that timeline. But if you register to vote before that timeline, the team at Project Catalyst is reminding people to actually go ahead and re-register for a second time. So it states here, if you registered before funding round number 10, we recommend creating a new registration, and then any registrations that came prior to funding round number 10 beginning will be eligible to cast votes. However, they will not be able to earn rewards. So keep that in mind that this is going to be a win-win. Not only do you get to help drive the direction of the spending of the Cardano treasury funds, but you can also be rewarded by actually voting as a part of Project Catalyst. Again, if you guys want to get involved in this, Josh from Late Game Crypto, who's been on this channel for quite a bit, does have a full dedicated video series breaking down how to become a proposal assessor, where you're actually paid an ADA for reviewing some of these proposals. Now, I believe that that particular session or process has already completed for funding round number 10, but you can always go ahead and jump in for additional funding rounds, given that this is in fact the 10th round of Project Catalyst that has occurred here on the Cardano mainnet, I believe since around 2020, when we had the very first Project Catalyst funding round kick off. So that is going to do it for that particular update, again, touching on Project Catalyst, where we currently stand, and how to begin registering in preparation for the voting process or the voting stage. The second update that I want to jump into for today's Cardano scoop is going to be surrounding Lenfi. Now, Lenfi was previously known as AADA, and they're bringing on a peer-to-peer as well as a peer-to-pool style lending on the Cardano network. What I want to touch on here for today's video is going to be the voting, which has just ended today on August 13th for the following assets: the ENCS token, or the Ncoins token, which is going to be a privacy platform on Cardano. We've also got Iagon, which is going to be a decentralized storage platform, as well as IUSD coming in from the Indigo protocol, which is a synthetics platform, as well as OPT, which is going to be an options platform on Cardano. And then we have Gens, or the Genius Yield token, as well as the CPiggy token. Now, some of these range from being added as a collateral assets, while some of them are just added as a borrowable asset. The key difference here is that anything that is a collateral asset can be put down in order to be used as collateral to therefore borrow additional crypto or other assets, whereas a borrowable asset is just that, just an asset that can only be borrowed on the platform. So that said, we have ENCS being added as a borrowable asset. We had Iagon be added as a collateral asset, while IUSD was being added as a collateral asset. And then we had OPT in both categories, both as a borrowable asset and a collateral asset, the Gens token only as a borrowable asset, and then CPiggy as a borrowable asset. Now, I believe there was about 1 or 2 epochs for voting to actually take place. And as I mentioned earlier, it has concluded on today. So if I jump over into the next tab and get myself out of the way, we can see that ENCS, or the Ncoins token, did pass to be added on as a borrowable asset. We've got Iagon, which also passed being added as a collateral asset. And if I scroll up just a little bit more, we've got IUSD, which passed by a huge margin here, almost nobody voting to not add it as a collateral asset. And I think this particular vote here made sense given the fact that it is a stable coin. Therefore, it brings in a lot of liquidity, and it's relatively low risk because, again, it is pegged to the value of a single dollar. Scrolling up a little bit more, we've got OPT being added as a borrowable asset, which that has passed. And I don't see the actual vote for CPiggy. Let's see if we can find that one here. So I don't see CPiggy, and I don't see OPT being added on as a collateral asset. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we've got CPiggy there at the very top. So that one did not pass. So CPiggy will not be added. We have Gens being added. And let's see here, we've got OPT as collateral, which did not pass. Surprisingly, I thought that that particular vote would have passed. So that is going to do it there for that particular update. Let me know what you guys think down below. You know, are these assets that you guys would have expected to pass? Are there any maybe that you would have hoped to see to pass? And what's interesting is that over the course of at least the past month or so, we've seen a huge influx, at least since the SNEC vote, of new assets being brought on to be voted by the community, whether they are a collateral or a borrowable asset. So I think this is just the beginning of the trend, but it is good to see that the governance platform is working as expected. And again, let me know what you guys think down below. You know, are there any of these that you were eyeing that made it, or vice versa, any that you were hoping not to make it that did make it? And I think that is going to be me to the end there for the update on Lenfi. As always, if you guys are enjoying this particular video, I would appreciate you if you could tap that like button. If you found anything to be valuable and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding anything that we've touched on so far, or that we're going to be touching on in the remaining part of this video, then go ahead and make sure to leave a comment down below. The next update I want to jump into is going to be surrounding Genius Yield. So this is going to be an order book style DEX, bringing a few different features that we have yet to see on some of these other DEXs. And they're going to be using what they call smart order routers to actually fulfill and execute some of their transactions. So a little bit different than batchers, which if you guys have been keeping up with the ecosystem, have had a little bit of a squeak here with the MusiSwap team and a 2 million or about 1.5 million ADA refund going out into the community. I'll actually be providing an update surrounding that topic here in my next Cardano scoop. Now, focusing here on Genius Yield, we have a pretty big announcement surrounding their testnet. Now, we were expecting for their testnet to have launched, I believe, around the June-July timeline. There was a minor delay, and that has now been pushed back to August. And we now have a confirmation that a private testnet has officially or successfully been launched. So pretty good news here, pretty big news here coming in from the Genius Yield team. So the announcement from the official Genius team reads, "Hello, Genius community. We are thrilled to announce that we've launched our internal testnet earlier this week. This includes limit orders, including partial fills, good till time functionality, and direct fill functionality from the order book." Interesting piece to note there is going to be the partial fills. So I'd assume that you could have an order with a limit that is only partially filled as additional orders come into the order book. And another cool thing there's going to be the good till time functionality. So I would assume that, if you only want a swap to be valid for 24 hours or 48 hours, you can go ahead and actually add a time associated with that swap when it's valid, and anything after that particular time will then have an invalid or a trade that is basically expired, therefore no longer actually active or being executed using the SORs or the order book style model. Scrolling down, it states, the second phase of the testnet, again, they've only released the private portion, will be exclusively open to our OG Discord community that owns their ISPO NFTs. If you missed these particular NFTs, they were given out to the community as a part of the Genius Yield ISPO, which took place in early of, I believe, around 2022. And I did release some videos breaking down how to get access to those and how to actually mint those NFTs. Now, I do want to be transparent in stating that they are available right now on secondary marketplaces. And I believe if you pick one up, you can go ahead and verify it within their Discord. So I would expect to see some of those NFTs coming up at least off of the floor price in preparation of getting early access to their OG Discord and the testnet for their DEX. So in closing there, it states that if you are staking ISPO NFT and you don't currently have the Discord role, you can go ahead and contact LTV or Low Tech Viking directly within their Discord. And then they state that the third phase of their testnet will be their public testnet sometime after the second phase has completed, and that all depends on the collective feedback and scope of their improvement. A pretty simple and gradual expansion of their testnet, which is what I personally like to see. I think it makes sense. You don't always want to open things up to the general public, especially when you know that there might be some small nicks that you want to fix, especially with your core community, which is more incentivized and more prepared to actually test the platform that they've been waiting so eagerly for on the Cardano mainnet. The next thing I want to jump into are going to be 3 quick screenshots of the Genius Yield DEX, which were released by the team in late 2022. So what we have here is going to be the liquidity pools page, where on the left-hand side, we can add both ADA and GENS, which is going to be the native token for the Genius Yield protocol. At the very bottom there, we can see all of the liquidity positions with the currently connected wallet, which include the TVL, the APR being earned by the particular liquidity pool, as well as the rewards given out by that particular pool. Jumping onto the second page here, we can view a preview of the yield farms on the Genius Yield DEX, which not only shows us the 2 tokens included as a part of the farm. Again, we can see the APY, the liquidity, and the rewards currently earned on the platform. One thing that I do like about this particular DEX is going to be the simplicity and the flow of the actual user interface here. Again, it looks very intuitive and very, very easy to kind of get a hold of, especially when it comes to important information such as the APY liquidity and the rewards. The third and last screenshot here is going to be surrounding the actual swaps, which is probably going to be where the majority of users interact with this particular platform. And so on the left-hand side there, again, we have the ability to select which assets we want to use to buy and what asset we want to go ahead and sell. And so there we've got ADA, and then we've also got gens. We've got the market price, and then we can also go ahead and preview the information surrounding our swap before it's actually executed. And then at the very bottom there, we can view any open orders, which we've already completed or already executed on the actual platform. On the right-hand side, we have a graph or chart of the actual ADA/gens price. And we can also jump between the order book in different types of actual candles or lines to depict the recent price action. I believe that is going to wrap it up there for that particular update surrounding Genius Yield. I am super excited to be a part of their OG group, so I'll be getting access to their private testnet as it rolls out here, and I'll be giving you guys an additional video or additional updates over the course of the next few weeks. That is going to do it for that particular update, and moving right on in to the very last update here for today's video, I want to briefly touch on the World Mobile Token. Now, this particular project is going to be connecting the unconnected through a sharing economy, which has plans to be global, or at least in all the major countries here in the world. Now, last week we saw the actual WMT team, or the WMT token, partnering with the Chainport Bridge in preparation to expand out into BNB as well as Ethereum. On the heels of that announcement, World Mobile is now expanding to Conflux as well, again leveraging the Chainport connection or their Chainport partnership. If I jump over into the next tab, I do have a brief excerpt that I want to quickly read here, touching on Conflux and World Mobile and their recent partnership that was recently announced on one of their community Twitter spaces. So it reads here, World Mobile has agreed to a strategic partnership with the Conflux network, a public, permissionless layer 1 blockchain at the forefront of scalability and performance. Scrolling down here, they touch on some of the key strengths here of their partnership and the Conflux network. And it states, Conflux and World Mobile recognize the growth potential of emerging markets. Conflux has achieved a strong presence in African markets, many of which are home to World Mobile operations. Now, if you guys are not familiar with the areas that World Mobile has already launched in, that includes Zanzibar, Kenya, and I believe they're also looking to launching in Nigeria, and they're also launching out or rolling out in Pakistan in the United States. So the fact that Conflux has a really big presence in the African markets, I think lends to the operations, at least in Africa, that World Mobile has already kind of tapped into. So hopefully they're able to come together for the greater good and the greater adoption of the path or the plan that World Mobile has set forward, again, to connect the unconnected. Now, Conflux's position as the sole regulatory compliant public blockchain of China or in China offers World Mobile a distinct advantage in supporting their Asian ambitions. I just mentioned Pakistan there, but I'm interested to kind of hear and see where World Mobile expands into next when it comes to the Asian region. Maybe China, I know that is probably going to be a big task, but the fact that Conflux already has an in and they're one of the sole regulated platforms when it comes to blockchain in that region does in fact give the World Mobile team a big advantage and a head start when it comes to networking within that particular region. Now, this partnership comes hot on the heels of the appointment of telecom's luminary Manoj Kali as an advisor to World Mobile following his role as head of SoftBank in India and CEO of Bharti Airtel. I did cover this particular update in one of my prior Cardano scoops, but I believe Manoj has like over 40 years within the telecoms industry. And as they stated there, he's been the CEO of Bharti Airtel. In closing, World Mobile and Conflux will work together to leverage their strengths to increase connectivity, drive user acquisition, and further market penetration in key markets. So while the Cardano community has been expanding in its own rights, we're also seeing projects within Cardano also expanding and reaching out to other networks. I seem to always get interesting viewpoints when it comes to blockchain projects, which are kind of branching out and going multi-chain. However, the sentiment has been positive, when it comes to World Mobile branching out. And I want to kind of hear what you have to think or what you have to say when it comes to that respect. Are you excited for World Mobile branching out into other networks? What do you think some of these benefits are? As I've stated in my prior videos, I personally think that the future of Cardano and projects building on Cardano is going to be to go multi-chain. I believe that is going to do it here for today's video, breaking down all the latest news and updates going on in Cardano. As a part of today's video, we touched on Project Catalyst, Lenfi and their recent voting results, Genius Yield and their private testnet, as well as World Mobile, and some of the updates and branching out that they've done into the Conflux network. If you guys appreciated this particular video, or if you learned anything along the way, I would appreciate you if you could tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding any of the projects that we talked about today, then go ahead and make sure to leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.